So I'm trying to test some of these things just to record, but let's look at what's happening in the news. Uh, I think this is great. Really, it's probably means that Twitter will be interesting. Twitter has so many issues. They're not just issues revolving around the algorithm and free speech and suppression of other people that the Twitter moderators don't like. There are also just really annoying UI issues and how some just buttons and functions work. I can just see it vividly. You can press something and something kind of takes a little while, and things are just connected in this odd way. It's a lot of you know just basic functions, basic processes of how Twitter works don't seem as efficient as they should be. They don't seem as polished as they should be. And so I completely agree that there's a major update that can happen. And I like this idea about verifying people to see if they're human and just giving them a blue check. I think that's really cool. And it would really cut out on the bots, and it would make Twitter a much more interesting, equitable, free speech place. Everybody kind of has a voice, and it's a human being. It's not just a bot. And the blue check mark loses some of its. So what's going on is they can give like a 3,000, 2,000 follower account a blue check mark because they're a journalist or I don't know, blogger or something or whatever, and suddenly this person's just catapulted into prominence, and this can translate into real financial gains. It can translate into just being an influential person who everybody wants to listen to, or who everybody's forced to listen to because they just pop up on your feed, and I think that's a problem. I think it's not the best way to select interesting voices. Algorithms for this sort of thing are not always so simple, but you typically want people amplified who are listening to other people who other people like, and maybe people that you like, and so on and so forth. But what you get on your Twitter feed is a lot of random things that they think you should like, and mixed with things you do want, and it's a powerful platform for if you want to influence somebody. It's a very powerful platform, and the only people who control this are the Twitter people, the Twitter moderators, and Twitter leadership, because they can just go in there and just click a button and suddenly you're flooded with a certain point of view. It really is that simple. Maybe some like middle things happening in between, but quite simple. And you can do that for a region, you can do that for a demographic, you can do that for whatever. And that's people are sensitive to that. I'm actually kind of sensitive to just being forced to consume content I don't really want. And if I'm putting out content, or people I like are putting out content, not seeing it or not having it seen, even if it's interesting, just because the Twitter people don't seem to think it's interesting at the moment. I don't think that's good for Twitter as a platform to have this current status quo. I've always thought the people who run these things, if you've ever been in this like obnoxious committee somewhere, like an obnoxious student committee at this obnoxious student club at college or something, or any school, and the moment somebody gets power over these things, these processes, these like seemingly unimportant but kind of important things, they just get this little shit grin and they start to just abuse it, and it turns into this petty world where they just put forward their friends and deny other people, and it's so crystal clear that it's not an efficient, optimized process for just what people want to see. It's really what they think is interesting and want to see. I mean, my trending things, 99% of them, I do not care. I don't care about any of it. I wish I could turn it off, because sometimes my attention, if I ever use Twitter, my attention is distracted. I'm distracted by random trends I absolutely do not care about. But I know that the Twitter content moderators think I should care about them, or they think everybody should care about them. And it's just obnoxious. And, you ever spend some time on Twitter just scrolling, you might come across something that is interesting, and then they got you, and then next thing they put forth something that's not interesting, but they want you to see it. And the way attention works, the way the world, like the brain works, and the way the world opinion works, and these things that can be really important, they can really influence the direction of society. you do sort of have to react to things you're forced to see, and they sneak these in between things you're interested in, and it's kind of pernicious and annoying more than, if not pernicious, then at least annoying. And if it's annoying, it's just not a good user experience. But it's also pernicious, by the way, because they hope to do things like influence, like social, political events, and so on and so forth. So it would be really exciting to see this brought to public oversight, open source, and hopefully, I don't know why they don't open source everything having to do with related topics. They should open source all sorts of editing decisions. They just list them like on some sort of Excel sheet, just a spreadsheet, right? Put in, okay, we made this decision because of this, and audit that, because maybe so you just keep them a little honest, but you want them to. Why would there be anything to hide if they use the moderation powers responsibly? There wouldn't be. So there's no reason not to do it. And for me, that's what open sourcing the algorithm really means. You want to open source the actual algorithm, things get selected, and once you're forced to do that, you're going to see that all these things that they get to influence that have nothing to do with safety, have nothing to do with what you're interested in. It's just they want to push a message, they want to push a view, they have their agenda, they have their vision for what you should think, and so they're trying to hijack your attention and your perception to do so, to have you think this. And if that's made open source, it's really indefensible. So it's indefensible from the point of view of a user consumer like value as a company, and it's indefensible from this idea of Twitter as the public space, which it is. It's the the town hall and so on. So you want to see this thing, and if they have to moderate something, whatever, they should just open source it. I really don't see why they don't, like, put a spreadsheet, say this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, so anybody can go and look at it. They can keep a depository of this on their website, repository of it. And once that's done, you will probably see a lot more hesitation to abuse Twitter trends and moderation. I mean, if you were a senior Twitter executive, you control so much of the pulse of what's going on. And do you really want to give that up? At the very least, you can tolerate bot armies, and they do tolerate it. There are ways of getting around spam, but they don't care. They either they're paid to, or they support certain bot movements or other ones, and this vision is this idea is you have like 1,000 bots saying something. Okay, and suddenly you might think somebody because people are herd type, they think people are herd like animals, so they'll suddenly think what the bots are thinking. Suddenly it'll just be this cascading effect of sudden, because you pushed 1,000 bots here, 1,000 bots there, 10,000. You crunch up the numbers. It's actually a lot of bots, a lot of influence. So that's the power, and using that, you can just manipulate public opinion. That's what they have been enjoying so far, and they don't want to give it up. But it sucks. It just sucks. It's gross. I mean, it just sucks. It's disgusting, actually, and it's just not a fun experience. If you notice it, it's annoying. It's lazy for them to do it, and I don't like it, and I don't think nobody likes it. I mean, if you're some sort of hardcore activist whose movement is being, maybe you like it, but those people, they're kind of like bots anyway. They're like little robots. They're like human robots, and you don't really need to have your entire social media landscape be controlled by what they want and think. And the vast majority of people wouldn't want that. So this is very exciting, and I'm glad to see it.